G'day guys, welcome back. My name is Wildkard. Super Rugby, round 13, the Brumbies versus the Western Force. I'm very disappointed with this game, to be honest, for the Western Force. I've been quite excited to watch the Western Force games for a number of weeks now. Obviously, they got the Lomax in the team has been spicing up a lot of interest for rugby league players performing in rugby union. That discussion is being quite prominent these days, and most importantly, I really I think everybody watching Western Force these days tuned into this game really felt that the Western Force may have turned a corner and really look quite promising building into the finals and potentially making a top 6 spot, right? And if we just roll back the clock a little bit, the Western Force played the Reds at Suncorp Stadium. Record win, like absolute blowout win against the Reds. No need to kick any penalties, right? And then they went on to play. I think they played the Crusaders before that. They played the Crusaders at home, under the pumps, down and out, behind on scoreboard, claw themselves out of the ditch, and then huge upset win against the Crusaders at home, right? Comeback win. No need to kick penalties, back themselves, guts and glory, just some good, soul searching rugby for the Western Force. And I think a lot of people watching the Force in those two games really felt like maybe something is starting to build. Maybe something has been found amongst the players. Maybe the group has finally coalesced into something that is greater than the individuals that was in the team, right? Only for the last week for the Western Force to come in against the Waratahs, kicking a bunch of penalties, capitulating to essentially taking the easy points, completely shifting away from the game plan that they saw so successful at. Yeah, albeit, yes, not kicking penalties, it's difficult, right? Taking the easy way out, in my opinion, against the Waratahs, albeit, okay, I have to give some credit to the Western Force in terms of leading into the kicking game. They did, in fact, identify a mismatch in the kicking. The Waratahs were absolutely horrendous in the kicking game, and the Western Force was able to pressure with Dylan Peach and Zach Lomax under the high ball, and they really just dominated the territory. Despite the goal kicking, they were able to win the game, and they were able to win in a lot of metrics in the game. Despite the scoreboard was pretty close, they were able to win a lot of metrics in the game, right? So I can still give them a pass, given the thoughts behind the strategy going into against the Waratahs. But this game against the Brumbies, yeah, I just don't know. It's pretty much confirmed to everyone that the Western Force has gone back to has really just taken a bit step backwards from what they've achieved in terms of recent results. And to me, what was really disappointing is that even the kicking game that was so prominent, the up and unders, the way that they were able to isolate certain players under the high ball and just send Lomax and send Dylan Peach to recover those high balls, they didn't even able to do that this game. There was a lot of just punting the ball down the field. Both teams did that. The Brumbies always did that. The Western Force punting the ball down the field sort of style and low pressure, just low intent, and just hoping for a mistake from the opposition. And that's something that I'm really disappointing. I think to see. I kind of regret. It's the recent last week, because after the game against the Waratahs, that coach Simon Cron, I think his name is, or however you say his last name, was on the sideline right in front of me and took a photo of him. And I really regret not talking to him and asking about why they changed their strategy against the Waratahs. Because this is just like, one of the things about being the underdog is really about swinging for the fences a little bit, right? If you walk into the game thinking that you're gonna, taking a bit of a shortcut, maybe you can just manage your way into a win against, especially when you're an underdog, right? It's just not going to happen. You're passively hoping for the opposition to play to make mistakes. You're passively hoping for the opposition to capitulate, to take you lightly, right? And that's the feeling I felt watching this game for the Western Force. They wanted to game manage this game into a win. They wanted to hope that the Brumbies was going to continue to play poorly in their recent run and not make a turnaround and keep making stupid mistakes like they did in the last 3 rounds. And they were hoping for that as the basis of them winning this game. Like it or not, that is my assessment. And I don't know how they come to this conclusion. I don't know why they, what was really disappointing to me, especially, the Western Force, like the Brumbies more has been horrendous, right? The Western Force more has been decent. Better than the Brumbies so far this year. And we saw one more try from the Western Force, and it's just disappointing. They just didn't really take that and squeezed it for more points and back themselves. And I don't think the Western Force is gonna make the top 6. In fact, this win for the Brumbies pretty much almost about guarantee them in the top 6. Because they are now like, we'll have to look at the ladder a bit later. Let's look at the ladder now. I'm pretty sure that it's only got like 3 rounds left, and the Brumbies are pretty much just cleared up enough. Yeah, 29. Yeah, they're the 5th. So the Western Force, 3 rounds left. Yeah, it's looking a bit tough now. Definitely not gonna kick the Brumbies up top. Maybe the Reds can get kicked out. Yeah, I don't know if the Western Force got enough. Especially the Brumbies has got Moana Pacifica at the last round, a game that they should win. Yeah, Western Force got Reds, Jura, and Waratahs. Yeah, maybe they may still be able to do it. Depends on how the Reds gonna perform, right? But to kick the Brumbies out of the top 6, probably not that likely anymore. Yeah, the Reds probably gonna win these games as well. So even if they beat the Reds, I don't think Reds lose to Moana Pacifica. It's possible, and also possible they're gonna lose to Fijian and Jura. You're hoping for that. And also Highlanders is into contention as well, right? They got cheap. Yeah, Highlanders are gonna be tough. They're gonna be tough to make it in the top 6. But yeah, it is disappointing. It is really disappointing. I do think that the Western Force had something, and this is an issue that I see in all Australian teams. When they win a couple games, they just they become scared of losing, right? They become scared of losing. They feel like they gotta play more conservatively to preserve their winning streak or whatnot. They play to not lose instead of playing to win. That happens a lot when Australian teams get into a bit of a winning streak. We saw that with the Reds. We saw that with the Brumbies, right? How good were they against the New Zealand teams, right? We're now seeing it on the Western Force. And yeah, I just think, it is disappointing. And anyway, let me know your thoughts, right? So outside of that, the referee made Nick Berry, Queenslander, made a very interesting call in the game that I want to talk about. So the Zach Lomax, obviously rugby league player, not 100% sure about, maybe not 100%. I'm pretty sure he knows the law, but I think this is more of a habit thing. Because I'm pretty sure in rugby league you can actually knock the ball dead. Like it's not allowed in rugby union, but it is. But anyway, let's watch this. So this is a deliberate knock on here. He knocks the ball up, and that's potentially a try. It should be a yellow card, right? This is 100% a yellow card. Now the referee actually said on the field that the interpretation of the deliberate knock on is changed. His word. The interpretation is not the same as it was last season. Now, I am not aware that there was a change in terms of the interpretation of the knock-on, a deliberate knock-on law. And the commentary were saying that this is the right way to go about it, and this change is the good thing. So here comes the problem, right? And they say essentially the interpretation now is that as long as your hands are up, it's fine. But let me just ask you a question. It's so like, how hard is it to turn your hand upwards? You don't have to knock the ball down. You can just knock the ball up to disrupt the opposition. As long as you have your palm upwards, it's no longer a deliberate knock on. It's like, again, it's like the people that came up with this law, like that changed the interpretation of this law, don't really understand how the game is played, and they're coming up with excuses to cover the mistakes of the players. They're reinterpreting the law to cover the mistakes of the players instead of actually making sense of what they're coming up with. Like, the law, the actual law of rugby, is not about whether your hand is up or down. It's about whether you are in a realistic position to catch the ball. Doesn't matter if you knock the ball up. Lomax is not in a realistic position to catch the ball, even if he knocks the ball up. And with this change of interpretation, Tim can literally just deliberately keep knocking the ball on as long as they knock it upwards. It is so stupid and nonsensical. There's a reason that this is... It's not like Will Rugby never considered this. This has been proposed for a long time, and Will Rugby said, no, this is not how we're going to interpret the deliberate knock on, because it's just too convenient for the players to disrupt the play by knocking the ball upwards deliberately in no realistic position. Let me tell you something. What if I run up, instead of in this position, I jump out. This is how I jump out, I dive, and then knock the ball upwards and forward. Is that a deliberate knock on or not? Under this interpretation, that would not be a deliberate knock on, despite the fact that I've literally jumped in a position that's impossible for me to catch the ball. But because I knocked the ball upwards to disrupt your play, under the interpretation that Nick Berry has explained to us, would no longer be a deliberate knock on. And by the way, I don't know if these people understand the ramifications of this change. This is going to lead to, every time someone makes a line break, the defense team would just do this to stop you. The defending team would just do this. You're actually going to ruin so many tries by changing this interpretation. Just because you don't want... What? A rugby... Like, your newly acquired rugby league asset to look bad? It's a mistake he has to learn. If he doesn't learn it here in Super Rugby, it's going to be a test match. It's going to be at the Bullet World Cup. Because let me tell you something. The Europeans are not going to let you get away with this. The Kiwis are not going to let you get away with this. Like, it's just nonsense. Absolute nonsense. It has to be about whether or not he's in a realistic position to catch the ball. And he's not. It's an absolute joke. And, you know, I wonder if teams are just going to start knocking the ball upwards whenever it's line break, right? You've got an overlap on our side. We'll just knock the ball up. We'll jump out of the line, diving forward, knock the ball up. Yeah, that's fine. Knock the ball up, right? Not deliberate knock on according to the new interpretations in Super Rugby. Just a fucking joke. Absolute fucking joke. Oh my. Anyway, sometimes I saw a comment today, and it's like, you know, why do people pay to watch this trash? Sometimes I ask myself the question. Okay, I seriously ask myself, what am I watching? Like, what is going on here? It is just. Anyway, yeah, you know what? Zach Lomax still has learned his lesson, and it's not consistent with the law. That is, with international referees, he's gonna get sent off in a test match. And let's see everybody complain about, oh, this should have been allowed. Oh, he's knocked it upwards. It's not. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. Catch the ball or you're sending off. That's the risk you take. Not the fact that he's knocked it upwards. Anyway, God, it's just. The problem is, again, you are conditioning your viewers with false information, with false and wrong information. And when the Wallabies lose, people are going to complain about it because you've told them that should be allowed when this absolutely should not be. It's absolute nonsense. And if it is actually allowed, it'll actually ruin the game. You'll just destroy any line break opportunities with teams just knocking the ball up. And then you're going to have more fans saying that the sport is a joke, rather watch rugby league. More people saying they don't understand the game. Because you are sending false information. You are conditioning the viewers to false information, to wrong interpretations of the law, to nonsense. Anyway, yeah, I do wonder. I genuinely ask myself every week, why do I pay to watch this absolute trash that makes me just like angry every weekend? Anyway, let's just match stats. 4 tries to 2, 386 run minutes for the Brumbies, 352 for the Western Force, 12 turnovers conceded, 168 tackles made for the Brumbies, 18 missed tackles, 171 tackles made for Western Force, 10 missed tackles, 34 kicks in play for the Brumbies, 37 for the Western Force, 1 missed conversion for both teams. 10 lineouts for the Brumbies, 5 lost. So the Western Force was dominant in the lineouts, and they didn't really back themselves. 14 lineouts for the Western Force, only 1 lost. Scrum quite even for both teams. 5 penalties conceded for the Brumbies. Are they really that disciplined, or is just referee ignoring everything? Who knows, right? But to be fair, the Western Force discipline was pretty poor out there. There were just some silly stuff that they should not have been given away. But man, anyway, let's just keep going and get this done and over with. I'm feeling I need to let's just get this done with. Anyway, the Brumbies came out, after their three round losing streak, kicked off, and immediately Darcy Swain knocked off the ball, and the Brumbies just built from that. Lots of pick and drive, and then Shaw went over the first try, 7 points to 0. 16 minutes, the Western Force gets a penalty, a short arm inside the Brumbies 22. They're taking a tap and go, a quick tap. 10 faces later. Lots of really good carries. I really enjoy this. This looked like the Western Force that beat the Reds. This looked like the Western Force that beat the Crusaders. And then 7 points to 7. Harry Johnson Holmes goes in for the try. 28 minutes, there was more pressure, multiple penalties. Referees, the Western Force decided to take the 3, and then that's when I realized this team was just pretty much done for the day. So after this, immediately the Brumbies strike. The 3 points were taken, strikes back. There was a nice little break from Corey Toole, a bunch of missed tackles, and then he was tackled by Donaldson. The ball came out, quick passes, a nice little cutout wide to Sapsford, who ran in for the try. 14 points to 10. After the West Force taken the penalty, second half, Brumbies do what they always do. 47 minutes of the game, take a penalties themselves, but the Western Force was not able to get themselves, back into the game, despite the Brumbies just trying to game manage themselves. 69 minutes, there was what happened here? There was a penalty from the kickoff. They went for the line out, went for the maul for the Brumbies. They backed themselves, so there was a weird little maul where Lachie Lonergan ran out to the shore side and passed it to his brother Ryan Lonergan and ran into the corner. I think they had a previous play where they also the Lachie Lonergan popped the ball to Ryan Lonergan, and they caught that 69. 69, the two brothers. The Ryan Lonergan, the number 9, standing in front of the line out. gets the ball straight from his brother. And then popping right back to his brother. 69 is the call. Probably, yeah. Anyway, there's a Brumbies line-out call for you guys to write it down for your team. 60... sorry, that was 24 points to 10. The conversion was missed. 62 minutes. Finally, the Western Force got themselves another penalty. They kicked the ball off a line out. I think that was a penalty, but anyway, the line out was thrown in. No jump, almost was straight for a more, and then Tizano, in typical fashion, peeled it off for the try. 22 points to 15. 72 minutes. The Brumbies capitulated. After got more penalties. They're kicking down a 3, 25 points to 15. And then 75 minutes in the game. Did they actually miss this one? No, they actually got down 25 points to 15. So 75 minutes, there was a debutant, Mickelson, came on. The Brumbies were just like pounding the try line, and there was like an NFL snatch. They have the line of scrimmage, and the guy passes the ball between his legs back to the quarterback. They did that in front of the try line, the Brumbies, and it was snatched to Lonergan, who ran and crashed the ball. Still short. Looked like they're actually going backwards from where the ball was. Didn't make the first down. Ryan Lonergan didn't quite make the first down. But the new guy, Mickelson, picked and drive. Quickly follow that Lonergan crash. Went in for the try. 32 points to 15, the final score. And anyway, let me know your thoughts. It is just really disappointing these days watching Super Rugby when it comes to refereeing especially. But let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you guys next week. Cheers.